since becoming a mum, I don't know what's happened to me. I think I've gone a bit soft because, Daniel, I feel sorry for the animals now. And I was just watching then, if you're listening on the radio, you wouldn't have seen it, but we had, like, pictures then of cows and sheep, and I'm looking at it. Of course, I was listening to you, Laurie, but I was also at the corner of my eye seeing the animals, and I was like, oh. So I don't actually eat much meat now.
Well, I think you're perfectly entitled not to eat meat if you don't want to, and if you have reasons for not eating meat, that's absolutely fine. But what we're seeing here is a sort of an ideological commitment that, you know, I'm perfectly happy to accept climate change happens, and I'm perfectly happy to accept that human activity over the last 200 years might contribute to a degree of global warming, in addition to normal climate change that happens in any event as part of the great cycles of the Earth's history. And I think there are things you can do to mitigate that, there are things you can do to respond to it, but we've been driven by the climate people, starting with Al Gore, into a period of panic alarmism. The world is going to end tomorrow. And unless we do massively dramatic things, like stop eating meat. I mean, if I lived on a beach, if I had a house on a beach and I thought the sea level was going to rise, I could do one of a few things. I might move, you know, up the hill. I might put the house on stilts. I could build a seawall. What I wouldn't do is go down to the beach and talk to the sea and say, if I stop eating meat, will you leave me alone? Because that's really the situation we've been driven into. Or give up the motor. I'll give up the motor and pat the cow on the head. Will you leave me alone? And that's really the situation we've been driven to in by this crazed sort of end-of-the-world Armageddon-like climate alarmism. As far as our food policies are concerned, I'm not aware myself, I've never seen beef from Brazil in British shops. We might import a very small amount, but we're not actually importing meat from Brazil. And we do import food from around the world, but the vast majority...
Of Argentinian steak.
But Argentina... Now, I know you know your onions, Michelle, but Argentina is not Brazil, and the Amazon is not in Argentina.
But there are other ecosystems that are being damaged.
So, he uses the Amazon as a great sort of totem to wear about. We don't actually import meat from the Amazon, as far as I'm aware, and if we do, it's very, very small. So most of the meat we import, most of the food we import, does come from the European Union. That's for the reasons we know. It's become part of our historical trade over the last 40 years and so forth. So that's actually where most of it comes from. And I agree. I would like to have more food security if it doesn't cost us too much. I'd like farmers to be told, focus on producing food. At the moment, we send very, very mixed messages to farmers about what we think they should be doing. And I agree with that. And that part I don't have a problem with. But I do think at the same time, going around at the other end and saying to people, you can have the equivalent of 2 burgers and that's it, which you're not saying, but these people are, is just a completely irresponsible, self-defeating, inappropriate, wrong, ineffective and designed to produce an adverse reaction.
I was just about to say, get